We are live.
Thank you.
Good evening to all the dignitaries. We welcome today's expert, Dr. Suniti Khandekar, nutritionist from Nagpur, and we also welcome both the speakers, Dr. Jay Bhandarkar as well as Dr. Vikas More. Today is the complementary feeding day, and I request President Raigad IAP, Dr. Vikas More, to give welcome address. Dr. Vikas, sir.
Unmute. Yes.
Vikas, sir, please unmute and give your welcome address.
Thank you so much, madam, for introducing, and I welcome all of you on the behalf of IAP Raigad. And IAP Raigad, because this is the very important day which is being celebrated by Central IAP. It is the 6th day of the 6th month to reinforce the fact that we need to introduce the complementary feeding from 6 months onwards. The incidence of protein energy malnutrition is increasing, where it is becoming very difficult over the time to counter this problem just because of the social myths and social taboos to introduce the right time food to the babies, either early or late, which is introducing the baby's health very adversely. So to remove all these myths, we are celebrating this day by having this CME. Thank you so much that all you have participated in this Zoom seminar. I request Madam to carry forward the proceedings.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vikas, sir, our president. And may I request Women Committee Co-Chairperson, Dr. Neha Singh, to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Suniti Khandekar. Dr. Neha? Our expert, Dr. Suniti Khandekar, is nutritionist and from Nagpur, and she will give her expert comments after the lecture of our speakers. Complementary feeding is introduction of solid feeds along with continued breastfeeding or formula feeding after 6 months of age. And to enlighten us about these things, may I invite Senior Pediatrician Dr. Jay Bhandarkar.
Should I start, madam? Good evening, everybody, and thanks to Dr. Suniti Khandekar, madam, for accepting our invitation to come as an expert. Actually, we are not the expert, but rather we see a lot of patients and in our day-to-day practice, and forget to give a proper guidance to the mothers about the complementary feeding. Initially, the word was winning was used, but now right now that word is not using. We rather we're using the complementary feeding. So it is a huge PPT, but I will cut short. I will just go for the overview. Rather later on we will discuss the common basic questions later. So why we should discuss this? Remove the 1 minute. Screen is not moving.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So why this discussion is important? Because India we have the largest number of under 5 children who are moderate or severely stunted, and this almost accounting of the 30% of the global burden. And India also has the highest number of children with moderate and severe wasting. And complementary feeding is introduced in only 53% of infants between 6 to 8 months, with only about 44% of the breastfed kids being fed at least the minimum number of times recommended. So overall, only 21% of breastfeeding and non-breastfeeding children are fed in accordance with the infant and young child feeding recommendation. This is very, very important. Unfortunately, almost in a lot of studies are there, 17% of the patients from the UP Bihar get exclusive breastfeeding up to 6 months. To almost Assam or some developed or forward state, they get almost 70% of that. As we know, the first 1,000 is very important because during this is the optimal growth occurs of the child as well as neurodevelopment, which are established going to help the patient the rest of his life. Why it is important to discuss this? Because 9 months to pregnancy, that is the first 270 days, improved diet, healthcare of the women during pregnancy can reduce the risk of maternal death as well as low birth babies. And first 2 years, that is 730 days, exclusive breastfeeding during first 6 months, followed by introduction of the nutrient-rich complementary feed at 6 months age can reduce the risk stunting in the infancy. And this early and sustained nutrition intervention in the first 1,000 days can help lay the foundation for the lifetime of that patient or babies. So by this role, so these thousands have the greatest impact on the future health and potential. If the adequate nutrition isn't available, brain development slows, overall physical growth is stunted. The first 1,000 days is a unique period of opportunity when the foundation of the optimum growth, development across the lifespan established. However, undernutrition, infections, environmental hazards, societal and household violence all contribute to loss of growth of potential of the child to the fullest. And this during these 1,000 days, initially rapid rates of neural proliferation, cell number, growth, differentiation, complexity, myelination, cerebrogenesis, connectivity, almost in initial days, almost 18 lakhs per second is the synaptogenesis occurs. Thus, this period time offers a greatest opportunity to provide optimal nutrition to ensure normal development, as well as this is a time of greatest brain vulnerability to any nutrition deficient. This is very sensitive period. This brain is very sensitive to specific nutrition deficiencies, and prevention of long-term deficit with intervention during this fetal period and first years, that's a true possibility. And intervention based on knowledge of these critical windows have a potential as a correction of nutrition deficiency. Iron, as we know, is required all nutrients, including proteins, polyunsaturated fatty acids, iron, zinc, copper, iodine, choline, folate, vitamin A, B6, B12 are the particularly critical. And iron exemplifies the necessity of the adequate nutrition and specific time of brain growth to ensure full development. So even iron depletion, supplementation during pregnancy has proven to be an effective deterrent of the later neurodevelopmental impairment in the child. So why this during infancy is important? Because measure of the growth in the child happens in the first years of life, and to support this growth, baby requires a much higher nutrient intake. And the gastric capacity baby is 1/5 of the adult, but the nutritional needs are higher than the adults. Hence, you need to give a small feed and very frequently. So this here comes the complementary feeding. So why initially say by 6 month baby, yes, is a exclusive on the breastfeeding, and later on it doesn't suffice the need energy protein requirement to the kids, and ultimately with continuation of breastfeed we have to complementary feeding should be started during this period. So why is complementary feeding? After age of 6 months, breastfeeding alone is no longer enough for the optimal growth and development of child. It is necessary to start the complementary feeding along with breast milk. The word winning now is replaced by the complementary feeding, and in the process of introduction of suitable semi-solid at the right age. And mind you, two words are important. This is a sensitive period or critical period. This sensitive period, 6 to 7 months. Why it is important? Because if you delay the start of the starting complete feeding after 6 months, 7 months, that goes into the critical phase or critical period, and during time babies or infant going to resist of taking the solid food. And as many of us have seen the came across the patients, a lot of patients they refuse to take the बच्चा खाता ही नहीं है. सपोज काहीतरी दिल्यानंतर बाळ थुकतं, खरं सांगायचं म्हणजे that desensitization of the oral mucosa is very very important unless until you start this semi-solid food by 6-7 months, and that I think desensitization of mucosa occurs and gag reflex which kids develop later, or refusal if you start very late. Why to continue breastfeeding also? The breastfeeding is a vital source of energy, almost 30 to 40%, and the nutrition in the secondary life. Breast milk is a key source of good quality proteins, essential fatty acids, the micronutrients, 40% vitamin A, 40% of calcium, riboflavin, 90% vitamin C, and fluids and nutrition during infection. As you are aware, many times the child is ill, registering the top feeding, but breastfeed the adequately normally continues to take the breastfeeding. So it is very very important to continue breastfeeding, and it associates the linear growth as well as it linked with the lower risk of chronic diseases like a hypertension and obesity. When to start? Soon after completion of 6 months of age, because the biting movement of jaw appears around 5 months, around 6 to 7 months, swallowing and solid food occurs, side to side movement of tongue develops by 8 to 12 months, and introduction of the complementary around 6 months, the ideal time of the sensitive period. If introduction complementary is delayed, then the child may enter the critical period, after which the infant may always poor chewer, may be poor in eating solids, and complementary feeding helps the fill in the gap after 6 months, which the breast milk alone cannot cover. And failure to introduce complementary feeding between 6 to 24 months might lead to physical and brain growth faltering, micronutrient deficiency, malnutrition, infectious diseases. The intestines are the mature and ready to digest during this period, as well as the baby likes the chewing, gumming, semi-solid, as well as there is a hardening of gums and erosion of tooth. And tendency to push the solid out of mouth decreases, as well as the child hand foot mouth coordination started at this age, and as well as child enjoys newer food during this time, and as well as child is very responsive, it gives the good family time as well as a good I can say communication between mother and the child can occur, and it is helps in better neurodevelopment also. So why complete? Two words are important: complete food and balanced food. A food containing protein, carbohydrate, minerals, fat, fibers is a complete food. While the food that contains this component appropriate proportion can be labeled as a balanced food. माइंड आपण 36 सुलक्षणी म्हणतो ना गुणी, असं कुठलं फूड मिळणार नाही, पण त्याचा बॅलन्स जेव्हा आपण करू त्याला आपण बॅलन्स फूड म्हणू. सो नो फूड कॅन बी लेबल एज अ perfectly complete or balanced food or superfood. In order to make it complete balance, they need to be combined various food in the child diet. So it's a very, very important side. As you know, the pyramid following the grains, and there are mainly the staple foods. Rather, I can say the rice, wheat, and jawar. These are the basic. Second component of the vegetables and fruits, and is the animal products like meat, fish, eggs, and organ meats. Milk alternatives. Last of the fat, oil, salt, sugar should be very, very less. So this is the most important slide I can say in this presentation. The 7 types of food groups are there. First, a grain, root, and tubers: rice, wheat, maize, jawar, ragi, potato, sweet potato. It should be in the major quantity. Legumes, pulses, nuts. These are the main protein sources. Pulses, nuts, oilseed, dry foods. Vitamin-rich foods and vegetables: orange, yellow, green vegetables. Fruits such as mango, carrot, papaya, tomato. Other fruits and vegetables. Locally available fresh foods, vegetables, preferably seasonal and inexpensive. Dairy products: milk, yolk, curd, and butter, paneer, eggs, and flesh, meat, fish, poultry, and organ meats. We should understand is at least out of these 7 groups, at least you should include 4, so that baby will get at least one source of animal product in his food. And why this dietary diversity in complementary feedings? Means the feeding a child different type of food so that his or her nutrient requirements are adequately met. MDD, this minimum dietary diversity, is a consumption of 4 or more food groups on the 7 groups to meet the daily energy and nutrient requirements. This ensures that the child has a high likelihood of consuming at least one animal source of food, one fruit, vegetable, and that an additional staple, that is grain, root, or tubers. What are the important tips for the parents? Start complementary feeding after completion of 6 months. Continue breastfeeding up to 2 years age, along with the appropriate complementary feeding. Give semi-solid food. Avoid watery soups, fruits, juices, animal waste initially. Prefer home food food, clean, fresh, cheap, and easily available. Prefer balanced food like cereal should be mixed with the pulse or vegetables using locally available ingredients in preparation. Introduce one food at a time. Once the child start accepting it, better to start introduce another preparation. and there will be refusal, but we have to keep patience and giving at least for try newer preparations. Addition of ghee, oil seeds, powder, fats add to the energy as well as palate of the food, except in the children with overweight or child obese. Child choices preference shall be respected as the child-led giving foods, or rather giving force food. Give the child what the child likes it, so that he going to accept more and more. Give as much as child consumes. Monitor the weight of the child, which is very important. Responsive feeding, yes. That giving the food to the child should be not a war zone, rather it should be a pleasant period. The feeding practice that are satisfying, comfortable with the father or mother, child are crucial for the emotional development, as well as the mother and family should be motivated, encouraged, educated, supported regarding the proper feeding practices. Practice responsibility so that child enjoys the process of feeding. Feeding is not about just some of the nutrition, exposure, discover the new tastes, smells, textures, develop communication independence, lay the foundation for the healthy balanced diet, speech development through the chewing and swallowing, and support continuous growth and development. What are the child, I think the likings or dislikings, or I can say style of eating before 3-4 years age, that ultimately going to continue in the later life also. So what are the principles? Yes, promote direct feeding. Many food preparations are refused by the child, but we have to try to give newer and newer food with different taste and textures. And this time is a period of learning and love. Hence, talk to child while feeding, maintain the eye contact, avoid comparison with other children and even siblings regarding the choice of food. Child under 1 year should be fed by mother or caregiver, and toddler or younger child should be preparing food in a separate plate during lunch and dinner time, so that child can start properly own self feeding, the parents help, and eating at the same time, same place with family member helps in improving the appetite and avoid the distraction. Do not force feed the child. This way the child develop disliking foods and the process of feeding. But the 4 pillars of complete feeding should be: time should be right, frequency should be right, adequate and right amount, appropriate diversity, taste and texture, flavor, color, food groups. Self hygiene cooking is very important. For the core message for feeding practice, contains frequent on-demand breastfeeding until 2 years age or beyond. Food should be have a proper consistent account of age. Food must have different flavors, textures. Food should be hygiene. Start with small amount of food at 6 months of age. Increase quantity step by step as child get older, while maintaining the frequency of breastfeeding. Give food with the less salt and less sugar, spices. Encourage home-based freshly food. Increase food intake during illness. And what are the characteristics of the food, that attributes? It should be easily available, clean, safe for the food, simple, less time consuming method to prepare and cook, as well as affordable by the family, and prefer the regular food, family food that is locally available, culturally acceptable, rather than cooking special food. Nutritive values of food as per as the requirement of growing child, easily digestible, nourishing food, and taste palatability is also very important. It should have the attributes. It should be right consistency, soft, easy to digest, inexpensive, locally available, culture acceptable, and easily prepared at the home. So important attributes again same. Start feeding small amounts, increase gradually. See that consistency is better. Frequency should be matched with the child's I think liking, and variety of nutrient distribution should be offered to ensure the body requirement during illnesses. Definitely more fluids should be given, as well as frequent breastfeeding. The encourages each of favorite food should be followed after illness, but try to give more food so that replenish the deficient intake. So what are the commercial food? Yes, ready-to-use artificial packaged food is easier, but may not be healthier. Suitable option for the patient. Compliance promoting, or rather, you should insist on giving homemade food also as well as possible, and uh, so that it should be prepared very easily available ingredient in the home only. And this organization involved in child health recommends that commercial food for the feeding infants and young children below 2 years should not be promoted. So things to avoid while giving complement feeding: avoid delay in starting complement feeding, avoid outside artificial package and commercial junk food, avoid food with excess of sugar, salt, and trans fatty acid, avoid ultra processed refined food. Bottle feeding has only disadvantage, avoid it. This can cause diarrhea, dehydration, and malnutrition. Avoid feeding with the watching TV and mobile is very important nowadays. Do not force to feed. Feeding should not be an unpleasant express. Avoid overfeeding. Avoid food that may cause choking. Why? Which food should we use for the complement feeding? Yes, I already said ki combination staple food like a cereal pulses, like you can prepare the khichdi, dal rice. Local available staple food like idli, dosa, dhokla, ragi, chapati, roti, paratha, which can be with given the oil and some amount of sugar. mashed banana, pulpy fruits like a mango, papaya, sweet potato can be given. Milk-based cereals preparations like a kheer, dalia, and sprouts, pulses, legume, groundnuts, almonds, cashew nut, raisins. Yes, they can be well grinded and can be mixed with the milk as well as the cereals, and that can be given to the child. Avoid food, biscuit, breads, pasta, chocolates. This should be the larger ice creams, donut, cakes. Should not be the main bulk of the your complementary food. Tin food, packaged food, store food, artificial food should be avoided. Fruit juices, rather you try to give whole fruit to the child. And fruit drinks, food just should be commercial breakfast. Cereals also try to avoid it. Repeatedly fried containing trans fat, yes, very but where people also try to obesity, diabetes, atherosclerosis, cardiac and neurological problems, right? So food should avoid the baby. Whole nuts are a choking hazard, should be avoided at the age of 5. So chopped nuts, but definitely can be on. Honey may cause botulism. Egg should be hard boiled so that kill any bacteria. Unpasteurized milk can risk of the food poisoning as well as the infection. Give only pasteurized milk. So precautions, follow proper hand washing, food should be stored safely, use clean utensil, and all the utensils should be used. Avoid using feeding bottles. You know, it is very difficult. You cannot give such child bottle is injurious to health to a child, and diarrhea, dehydration, malnutrition usually results of unsafe bottle feeding. Yes, keep food safe from the container environment. Fresh smell should be smell or good. Perishable food like a meat milk should be prepared for store in the refrigerator. Cover the food properly. Use within 2 hours. Store for the long duration. Reheat the set so that you can kill the contaminant germs. Care should be taken not to protect food from the rat, mice, and cockroach dust. Prevent contamination of the drinking water. So by 6 months, age, start with the pour of smash or semi-solid food. Most infant can eat finger food around 8 months. Especially like they can eat, and most children can eat family food by 1 year age. Avoid food that may lodge in the windpipe like nuts, grapes, and raw berries that can cause result in the choking. To modify the nutritive value of the commodity food, addition of ghee, sugar, jaggery, oil, butter, combining cereals, pulses to ensure the delivery of all the essential by using different cooking methods and milling, germinating, fermentation of different food items. The viscosity can be reduced by malting so that child can have it more. Malting the process of germinating whole grain, then germinating cereals pulse can be dried and grinded, and this malted cereal pulses give more energy to the child. And fruits and vegetables, yes, locally available foods, they are provide minerals and vitamins that increase the nutritive value of the foods, as well as green leafy vegetables, carrots, pumpkin, seasonal foods like papaya, mango, chiku, banana. Very important source of vitamin A, B, and iron. Include seasonal locally food, fresh, cheap, nutritious for the vegetables. The place of milk, yes, it cannot be a wholesome product for the so though the child should not be overemphasized on the milk. Should be avoided because child may not have appetite for anything else. So many parents consider dairy products a useful source of minerals and calcium, vitamins, but avoid only milk feeds. Use milk as a prepared food for the children. Milk and milk products cannot be completely replaced or substitute the whole range of complementary feed. Feeding child who is less. Encourage the child to be drinking it more and more. You have a patience, feed small or frequently. Give food that child likes. Give variety of nutrient foods. Give continued breastfeeding. During recovery, give extra meal, extra amount, extra rich food, extra patience, extra breastfeeding as a child wants. How to initiate feeding? Yes. Our complementing introduction of right consist food at the right age is important to develop good behavioral. Essentially follow the sequence. Breastfeeding excess for the 6 months, semi-liquid 5 to 6 months, easy to digest. Smooth, gentle on the stomach, semi-solid after 8 to 9 months, but baby now foods with taste and texture. Semi-solid after 10 months, baby now needs food that satisfies the urge to chew complex and taste and the texture. Solid diet includes variety of food items by 1 to 1 year. Almost I can usually say की जे घरात बनतंय प्लेट मध्ये ते सॉफ्ट करून तुम्ही बाळाला द्या. बाळासाठी वेगळं काय बनवू नका. सेपरेट प्लेट दिल्यानंतर बाळ नक्कीच आनंदाने खातं. So these are the stages of being already explained. Stage 1, purees give, then stage 2, you give the mashed food or finger foods, and during stage 3, you can give the family foods. Frequency, yes. You can continue with the frequently by small amount, at least 3 to 4 times by 6 months. You can give the food to the child, continue the breastfeeding as if required. As child grows larger volume, almost feed by 7 to 8 times of breastfeeding, and other than food can be given. 9 to 10 months. Yes, child, though I declare the 6 to 7 times, but with breastfeeding, I think around like 4 to 5 times child can take like a breakfast, lunch, and dinner in between 1 2 snacks. By 12 months, yes, child requires 5 to 6 month times in a day. 18 months, you can give the regular breast the meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, as well as in between healthy snacks. mid morning as well as mid evening snacks can be given to the child. Volume, yes, have a little capacity already said. So actually, accept small amount, but increase in size, accept larger amount. By 6 months, it's around 1 to 2 tablespoon at one time. Child get by 6 months almost ardhi vati, 50 to 70 ml at a time. By 7 8 months, almost increase to 75 to 100 ml at a time, and by 9 months, almost give full vati of 100 to 150 ml at a time. So stomach size already said is very last, 1/5 of the adult. Stages already said by 2 times by 5 to 6 to 9 months. Older children can at a service for 3 times by 9 to 24 months. Start with 2 to 3 tablespoons by 6 months, but then full thick of porridge or well mashed later on food. Continue but breastfeeding also. 1 tablespoon equal to 3 small tablespoons 15 ml. Rice texture is very important. Puree, prepare spinach puree, turnip or pumpkin puree, smooth paste can be prepared, can be given to the child. After 2 weeks, when you start it, then you use the fruit puree. Try to mash banana, carrot or apple puree, even with the rice dal or with milk. And first 6 months consistency प्युरी थोडं पातळच पाहिजे सेमी सॉलिड पण नंतर ते ब्लेंड करून स्ट्रेन करून तुम्ही क्रीमी पेस्ट करून सो दॅट चाइल्ड कॅन इवन टेक विथ हिज finger also. So these are the small all recipes we'll discuss later. Freshly prepared recipes, a lot of list is there. How halwa, upma, dal, khichdi, pulao. Even later on you can kamal, dhokla. All this child can enjoy later. So we'll discuss the question answer later. Yeah. So lot of preparations basically when you're giving start complementing, you should the staple diet is very important. What is staple diet? Which is primarily the major portions or this is grown in that area. Usually this wheat or rice or jawar is a staple diet. You can mix with the dal, pulses, nuts, and you can mix this other nuts and pulses in that kheer like and other fruits and vegetables and animal products. Thank you very much. I cut it short because we can discuss with the practical things with our expert, Dr. Suniti Madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay sir. It was indeed very nice and elaborative with explanation of everything about your starting, then continuation, and when the child becomes nearly 1 year. Everything you have that the allergy which can be there, and so we introduce variety of food so that the children get desensitized little early. Now everybody knows that breastfeeding has to be continued for 1,000 days, and it is very critical for lifelong development of immune protection and robust gut microbiota. So what to do? To get the clear message, we will have second speaker, Dr. Vikas More. May I request Dr. Sanjeevani More to introduce our president, Raigad IAP, Dr. Vikas More. Over to Dr. Sanjeevani.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Our next speaker is Dr. Vikas More. Sir is Medical Director of Uran Children Hospital, Uran, and Little Krishna Child Care Hospital, Ulve. Sir is visiting consultant at Apollo Hospital, Navi Mumbai, ex-lecturer at JJ Hospital, ex-organizing secretary of RICON, and right now, sir is working as a president of IAP Raigad and Uran Medical Welfare Association. Sir will talk on complementary feeding with traditional brain. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeevani. First of all, thank you so much for giving the opportunity, Chitra Madam. And am I audible?
Volume, yeah.
Am I audible? Yeah. So my video is having some issues, so I will switch off my video. Yeah. So now the Jay sir has given us a very elaborate description regarding the importance of complementary feeding, how it has, why it is necessary, how it has to be given. Now, the point which I am going to discuss today is regarding how it can be blended traditionally in our own culture. So the Block. Yeah. So content of my presentation will be taking inspiration from the global cultures, how they use the complementary feeding locally and how we can inspire from them, and how we should have a holistic approach towards the complementary feeding, and at the end we will get a carry home message. Now, if the more I read regarding the complementary feeding world over, I understood that the every mother all over world has the unique way of giving the complementary feed to her baby. If we go from east to west, the Chinese mother gave a basic watery rice porridge along with cooked vegetable, lot of cooked vegetables, lot of pulses available locally, along with introduction of garlic garlic and ginger initially, and they use soya sauce surprisingly in their complementary feeding, which we don't use. We should not use. It contains a lot of salt. Then the Middle East mothers, they use, I used to believe that they use a lot of non-vegetarian food initially, but surprisingly, even they focus more on a vegetarian complementary food initially, along with various cooked vegetables and milk. African mothers, they introduce the locally grown maize, cooked banana, cow milk, potato, sweet potato, cassava. Caribbean mothers, they use the tubers, more of tubers like yam, sweet potato, and they also use pumpkin, arrowroot which is being used in India. It is very commonly used by the Caribbean mothers. Alaskan mothers, they breastfeed their babies till the age of 4 years, and they use seaweed as a complementary feed. Now, if we look at this view, and if I see the Indian culture, I'm so proud that we celebrate the first feed of our baby as an Annaprashna ceremony. So our forefathers have gave so much importance to the first feed of the baby. They understood that the right time introduction of food is so much necessary. Now, we see that the introducing complementary feed doesn't mean that going away from the mother's milk, as the Jay sir has already told us, because initially only 200 calories are being supplemented by the complementary feeding, and rest calories are being given only by the mother's milk only. So we should make every effort to maintain the mother's breast milk flow, and whether she's working or not working, that we need to definitely make sure. If the mother is not having adequate milk, then we should tell her to have some meditation, yoga, exercise, and then eating the lactococs like dill weeds, methi, castor oil seeds, pearl millet, bajra. Dill weed means shepu. So all these things has to be provided to mother along with the proper rest, so that she should maintain her breast milk, because it is very important along with the complementary feed. Now, if it is less, the second choice is formula feed or cow's milk. We know that the cow's milk, raw cow milk, is not allocated below 1 year of age by UNICEF, just because there are so many issues like micro hemorrhages, constipations, then cow's milk protein allergy. Now, what to do if the family cannot afford the formula milk and mother is having lesser milk, the baby is having cow's milk protein allergy? Then we also should try the vegan milk like coconut milk, pearl millet milk, ragi milk. This milk is still being used in the rural areas in the southern and northern part of India, but we have forgotten this skill. So what to do? How to use this milk? You have to overnight soak like the ragi, grind it and extract the milk from it. So this milk can be definitely used to introduce to our babies, and it cannot be heated directly. It should be heated indirectly through the hot water. Now, if we see the food quadrant being discussed by Jay sir, we know that 55% should be given by carbohydrate, 20% proteins by gram, dals, and nuts. From fat, we should get 30% calories. We should also introduce the green vegetables and fruits for the sake of water-soluble vitamins, antioxidants, then minerals. we know that the stomach has only having 30 ml per kg capacity. So we have a very small space. So we should design a food in such a way that in such a compact morsel, baby should get all these required calories, minerals, antioxidants, so that baby can maintain the health and maintain the weight. Now, initially, traditionally, we give rice, dal, and vegetables. We forget, we hardly pay attention that which rice we are giving to our kid. There are hundreds of rice varieties in India, like Kavirai, Palakkadam, CO45, CR1009. We should try to introduce various varieties to our child. Either whole unpolished rice, polished rice, gradually progression from polished to unpolished rice to increase the fiber content of the food. Remember, each variety has a unique taste, unique smell, and baby will like it. Try to introduce the various varieties of rice to the baby. Don't forget this point. Now, same is the point with the dals. Dal have like tur dal, moong dal, urad dal, then Bengal gram. So many dals are available. Only in southern India, there are 28 varieties of dal available. But we hardly give only moong dal, tur dal, or urad dal. But there are so many dals are available. We should try various varieties of dal to be given to our kids in a gradual phase-wise manner. So they will be get benefited from different varieties, different tastes, and they will be so happy. And regarding oils we know what is oils. I personally like the cold pressed oils. I don't like refined oils. Just for the sake, we know that the peroxidation happens and the structure of the oil changes. So we should always purchase our seeds, go to the ghani, get your cold pressed oil, and use it in your kitchen. So the oils, we know that the mono unsaturated fatty acid oils are available in rice bran oil or coconut oil. Omega-6 component is available in safflower oil, sunflower oil, soy oil, and the omega-3 is available in rice bran oil and apricot. So now we should understand that if you are going to the market and purchasing only 1 5-liter can of a say rice bran oil, which is refined sometimes, or a safflower oil, you are giving single oil for a very long period and depriving the whole family from the different oils, which contains different very essential components, very useful for the human body. So even while preparing the complementary food, we should always make it sure that we should use the oils in a phase-wise manner. Never purchase a 5-liter can. Always purchase half kg or 1 kg cold pressed oils and use the oils in a phase-wise manner so that the family and the baby should get benefit from all oils. So that is very essential. Regarding vegetables, we should be very liberal while introducing to the vegetables in the complementary feed. While preparing a porridge, you can use cucumber, zucchini, tomato, potato, peas, green beans, celery, broccoli in a cooked way. I will always recommend never go for a mixed vegetable porridge. Always introduce single vegetable at a time. Give them cooked carrot or cooked broccoli or cooked potato or cooked pumpkin. Why? Because every vegetable has a unique taste, unique content, unique vegetable, unique mineral content, unique benefit. So if you mix too much of it with each other, then what happens? The baby cannot make out what is the actual taste of that particular vegetable. So we should always use a single variety of rice, single dal, single vegetable, so that baby can actually remember and relish the taste of that particular vegetable. It can remember, oh, I like the carrot, I like the broccoli. In that way, we should actually prepare. I personally like cooking in an earthen pot. You might remember, always try to prepare in an Indian way of cooking. These days hardly we use the earthen pots, but it all adds flavor to your porridge. So please try to introduce. You might have drank the tea in an earthen pot. You see the difference of taste. So the same thing happens while cooking. So please use the earthen pot style of cooking in your uh, kitchen. Now, the topic which is closest to my heart is millets. We know that we are going through a millet revolution. The people are talking a lot about this. The millets are what they are: positive millet. There are 5 positive millets: foxtail, little, kodo, proso, barnyard millet. These are very important to be introduced in a phase-wise manner in our kids and even a lactating mother's diet. We use more of a wheat or a rice very commonly, but we never even think of introducing, except ragi, other millets in the baby's food. So if you see this chart very closely, you can observe the barnyard millet, which is also called as bhagar in a traditional way. It contains 13.6 gram of fiber in 100 grams and also 18.6 milligram of iron. So the amount of fiber and iron it has, even rice and wheat doesn't. You can compare. You see the glycemic index of the rice and wheat is very high. So if the baby is continuously on rice and wheat, there is a chance of obesity. So if you, after 9 months, in a phase-wise manner, I personally like the sequence of first little millet, then barnyard millet, then kodo millet, then foxtail, and then brown top millet. In this sequence, if you introduce the millets in a phase-wise manner, the kids will get benefit of all these millets gradually. But one very common mistake we do is that multigrain atta. So what is multigrain atta? It is a corporate gimmick. They prepare different attas, and whatever is remain, they mix it together and they sell it to us. So you never get the complete advantage of a particular millet. So please always give foxtail at a time, little millet at a time, kodo millet at a time for a few days, then go in a phase-wise, in a cycle-wise manner to the kids. And even it is very useful for the family and lactating mothers also. So how to prepare this? So for a little millet, you can soak it, sun-dry it, grind, again soak and make a porridge. Initially, you can add in as a porridge, make then in a semi-solid manner, then as a rice. So then mix it, oil like coconut oil, groundnut oil, til oil, half spoon. Then add a little black pepper, add some little vegetables like carrot, either green beans or sweet pumpkins or cucumber, bottle gourd. Even you can add bridge gourd also. The kids, even they like bridge gourd. Sometimes if they are grown up, they can eat any kind of vegetable depending upon the frequency with which you are giving them. Now, this figure will reinforce my point. If you see that it is showing the structure of a millet. If you see the foxtail millet, it contains various layers in which the flour is contained. And if you see the normal millet, it contains only one layer followed by flour. So the foxtail millet contains a lot of fiber as compared to the normal millet like a wheat and rice. So if you are introducing foxtail millet in a phase wise as the baby is growing, then baby will get a good fiber, good intestinal motility, good intestinal clearance, and so many iron and minerals. So it will get a lot of benefit out of it. So after that, sunlight we always forget. We give sunlight to the kids only if there is a joint or something like that. But even after 6 months, give them at least 30 minutes of sunlight every day. It is very essential to have a natural vitamin D. Regarding proteins, Jaisir has already discussed that we can use the sprouts, and in the non-vegetarian, those who go for non-veg, they can use the white egg part, chicken and mutton if they are, it is the culture in their family. For the vegetarian people, you can use the sprouted pulses. You can dry them, sun-dry them. You can make a flour and use in a 1:4 proportion along with the other flours. So it will definitely mesmerize the kid with the different tests. So always spend time with your kids. Don't encourage the culture of Swiggy and Zomato in your family. These days, the parents tell that I give quality time to my kid. the qualities is decided by kids. You give quantity of the time. You give more time in the kitchen along with the kid, then only the kid will become more interested. Then at the end, I want to tell that the more you involve yourself in kitchen, the food science, discussing with the kids, like using the various varieties of vegetables, dals and rice available in India, then our kids will gradually like the different variety of food. You don't have to run behind them for eating. They will definitely like the kind of food that you are preparing, and they'll be more than happy to eat, and you will be even happy. I like this photo so much because we should encourage such kind of feeding in our family. They should eat with their own fingers. They should perceive the texture, taste, everything on their own. Then only they will become a good food eaters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. You have passionately told about the complementary feedings, and now we move on for expert comments. Dr. Suniti is a nutritionist, and we have heard her previously 2 times in Raigad IAP.
Thank you. Madam, should I just give my comments, or I wait for some questions from the...
First, please give your comments, and after that, we will ask you question answers.
Yes, ma'am, sure. So, thank you, IAP Raigad. Thank you, Dr. Chitra Kulkarni, ma'am, Dr. Vikas More, and all the dignitaries who have given me this opportunity to discuss something which is really close to my heart, that is food, basically. Food and nutrition. And when it comes to actually feeding the kids with food, that is really important for any mother to start with. When a child is born, basically the mothers are really very cautious, very protective of the child, and they want to give the best to the kid, despite if the mother is working or if the mother is at home taking care of the baby. So breastfeeding, as we all know, it is very important feed right from birth to 6 months, and even from 6 months to 2 years of age, depending on how much the baby is accepting as breastfeed. Now, complementary feeding is what we are discussing today. As we saw in the world map, and we heard Dr. More explaining how different cultural variations are there. But one thing which we found common is everybody starts with a simple, easy to digest carbohydrate source. And that is what even we do in India. We start with something called as rice water. It is actually not totally water in consistency, but it is of the consistency of the breast milk, we can say. So we start with rice water. We gradually increase the we gradually increase the amount initially. Then we gradually make it from semi-solid to solid. Now, complementary feeding, it should be given, they say, after breastfeeding the child, and then just 5 ml introduce the rice feed which we have prepared at home. Then for 1 week we can give this and see how the baby accepts. From 5 ml we can gradually increase it to 30 ml in the whole day to start with. Then the next week we can always start with some other kind of either carbohydrate source, or we can give something like a dal source, or we can give something like a low allergenic vegetable pureed mashed source. Again, the same thing should be continued as something like watery consistency, then gradually increase the puree thickness. It should be strained, boiled, and mashed properly, given with the spoon, definitely. And one food at a time is what we already discussed in these two lectures. So one food should be given at a time. So from the age of say 6 months to 7.5 to 8 months, the baby should be able to understand what he is eating after the breast milk is given. So if it is rice, he should accept it as rice. If it is a dal, he should accept it as a dal. When there is no acceptance by the baby for a particular food, don't just give up. You can always wait for a week or two and then reintroduce the same food again. Now, one important aspect of complementary foods is we do not add salt or sugar in any of the preparation that we are giving initially. We want the baby to understand कि हे कसं लागतं, ये कैसे taste करता है. So the variety of rice we saw in the previous presentation. So we can give all the variety of rice except certain varieties which are rich in fiber to start with, so that the baby develops a taste for that particular food item. Same is the case with different dals. Same is the case with various vegetables to start with. One vegetable at a time. So it is like for 1 week we start with rice. The second week we bring rice and then we bring some boiled, pureed, mashed pumpkin along with the rice, but in two different feeds, never to mix them. In the third week, we can add some chiku or papaya in small quantities, because now this, if it is a fruit, then it will have nice soluble fiber to it, and we don't want the baby to have tummy upsets. So small gradual feeds of pureed, mashed, pulpy fruits can be added. So it should be 3 different meals, 3 different varieties at 3 different times in a day. So third week तक हम लोग यहाँ तक पहुंच जाते हैं. Then the fourth week we can always start with some dal preparation, easy to digest, home cooked preferably. Do not add any salt or sugar to it. Yes, you can add a few drops of ghee for that matter, homemade desi ghee, pure ghee, because we all know it is medium chain triglycerides and they are really good for the intestinal development, intestinal flora development of the child. Then we can add some amount of turmeric to it, but no salt and sugar till date. Then after 8 months, when the baby is 8 months old, we can mix a cereal and a dal combi, as discussed by Dr. Jay sir, as in the form of the famous Indian khichdi preparation to start with. In that, you can add little gastric easy spices to it, like cumin, coriander, dhania powder, and zira powder, a little dash of haldi, some oil or ghee to add to it, and a little salt to it, but not more than a pinch in the whole bowl or preparation. This is how you introduce foods gradually to the child. And yes, as we heard in the previous presentations, that up to 1 year of age, the child should be able to sit next to you along with the other family members and eat what is made for everybody in the house. Of course, we should take care of the amount of spices and the pungentness of a particular food item, and do not introduce something which is very high in spice or oil. But the child should be able to eat the normal dal, rice, roti, sabzi in a very thin and easy to digest and easily chewable form. That is what my thoughts on this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suniti.
Yes, ma'am.
Very clear messages to our viewers. Any questions to be asked, Dr. Sanjeevani?
Question in the chat box.
Yeah.
Question: what about the oats and lots of mother love giving that? Also comment about the breakfast cereals. Asked by Dr. Anjali Gukar madam from Palghar.
Yeah. What about oats? Okay. Oats is rich in fiber, as we are all aware of. So introducing oats to the child till 1 or 1.5 years of age should be avoided as far as possible. We can always give some home preparations. Why worry about something like oats? We have all kinds of rice, we have all kinds of millets that we already discussed. So something which is not processed, does not come in a packet, should be given to the child. Whatever you are eating, you should be given. We should always follow the traditional and cultural food pattern which we are eating. So in Maharashtra, we eat certain kinds of food, so that is genetically acceptable by the child. That is very important. Something which is new, something which is coming because everybody is doing it. So we should not just follow what, like there was a big discussion about quinoa or cassava for that matter. But then why do we need to give that? We have our jawar patla ambil or ragi porridge preparations, which we have been eating since childhood. So why should we not give that to our kids? Because it is locally grown, it is what our genetics are used to. So the child is also going to be benefited from that kind of preparations. This is one part of it. And breakfast cereals, I would say a big no to any kind of like again processed or packaged foods, because unless and until the mother is really tied up, then once in a while it is fine. So it's like if majburi mein dena hai, so then you can give it. But if it is out of something like somebody else is doing, and so we need to do it, so that should not be done. Secondly, these packaged cereals have got lots of say preservatives and salt, sugar to it. So first thing is, all those preservatives, they are not they are actually harmful to the baby's internal organs. Secondly, you all
Preservatives are
must be
liver
aware.
toxins.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
and
Preservatives are liver toxins.
liver toxins.
Yeah.
Secondly, I don't know whether this is the platform, but absolute renal solute load is something which is of high concern nowadays because of these excess salts and sugars which are there in the processed food items. So something which we do not want in the long run, why to start it in the beginning? That is what is my thought process on that.
Okay, because the question already asked, what about the cornflakes, chocos, ready-made soups? So already that you have answered. And another thing, these are very costly also, because
Yes,
cost
true.
is also quite good. And unfortunately, all TV series and other things, lot of advertising for the celebrities. And
Most importantly, the sweet is the addictive taste. It
Yeah.
actually dampens the all other tastes like sour, bitter, even a spicy. So the child gets hooked to this sweet, and then they refuse everything else. Even the habit of giving fruit every day, very sweet fruit every day, instead of giving a diet, like rather than giving a lunch, they give mango. So what happens is that the child is hooked to the mango. Mango is very sweet, very sweet. If you read the literature, they advise that the juice also should be very much diluted. And second thing is that they give mixed fruit juice, which is again very dangerous. Mixed fruit juice, mixed fruit, mixed vegetable, mixed fruit, mixed atta, everything is dangerous. So please avoid that.
Yes, true, Dr. Vikas.
Madam, a question is asked with the role of fathers in the feeding the child.
The most important, whether
Very,
the
very
whether the
important.
mother is
Asked by Dr. Nilima Bhandarkar.
yes, whether the mother is working or she is a full-time mother, it does not matter. The role of father is also very important as far as feeding, because it's just not feeding the child. It's not about like pot bharna or giving nutrition. It is about the bonding. It is about the bonding. And many a times you feel that the child who is continuously with the mother, the child longs for the father. So if the fathers who are away working, they just spend some time, at least one meal with the child, trying to feed the child, then I think the bonding improves, and it's beneficial in the long run, basically.
Madam, I have one question, actually
Yes,
two
sir.
questions. What are the fortification, commercial fluid powders and other things so that micronutrients or vitamins can be added what are already giving to the child, complement feeding, can be used, right?
Sir, if the child is actually suffering from certain deficiencies which the pediatricians are like seeing, as in the child is not properly being fed with the home preparations, then those fortified powders can be added just to prevent the nutritional deficiencies in the long run. But if the child is being fed properly, given a proper schedule as to what is to be fed, how much is to be fed, and what are the preparations, then I don't think the fortified additions should be, it's not a must. It's
Okay.
not a must, basically. So out of compulsion should not be done.
Regarding the father's role,
Yes.
I have a very close observation that many times a mother comes with a reduced breast milk flow. So I ask them why. They tell that I have a back pain, I have some headache. So why it is that? Because they don't get a proper sleep. So I ask the father, if you coming from the office at 8 o'clock, take your food, sit very properly in the hall, take the baby in your lap, and let the mother sleep at least 2 hours before 12 o'clock. Before 12 o'clock. Because they go on chatting till 12 o'clock and the baby wakes up at 12 o'clock. And whole night the father is sleeping and the mother is awake. So mother is awake in the night and daytime also. If the mother gets at least 2 hours of sleep before 12 o'clock, then the mother will have some energy to spend the time or handle the baby throughout night. So here the role of father comes to handle the baby before 12 o'clock, to give the mother some good sleep. Because we know that the sleep before 12 o'clock is actually double. If you are sleeping 2 hours before 12 o'clock, is equal to 4 hours. So in that way, I engage the father, and it has really helped the many mothers to come out with the back pain and improving their health.
Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion. That's an excellent suggestion.
Another question is in the chat box, when to introduce dahi, that is yogurt, whether this yogurt is same as our dahi or it is different.
Actually, we can introduce the homemade dahis which we have been making. The outside bacterial yogurts which we get is actually a combination of so many lactobacilli that have been put together in a particular packet. So what we do is we use the same culture at home and make homemade dahi, and those homemade preparations can be given to the child from the age of 8.5 to 9 months, because the gut bacteria starts developing once the child starts eating cereals and pulses and various fruits and vegetables. So introducing this dahi at the age of 8.5 to 9 months will help. Homemade, very acceptable, no problem. You can always change the culture. You can get some culture from the shop, or you can even ask your neighbors to give you some dahi culture, which we call as virzan in Marathi. Very common thing which we all do, and that actually is different cultures of the bacteria which are there, and it increases the immunity of the child. So no need
One
to
more
go
thing.
for market preparations.
One more thing to add here, like along with curd, we can actually ferment the porridge also. For us, like it is very commonly done in South India. They actually prepare a porridge in a earthen pot, cover with a cotton cloth, keep it for the whole night, and the porridge is slightly fermented. And that fermented porridge is given twice a week throughout their childhood. And it surprisingly gives very good supply of vitamin B12.
Correct.
Vitamin B12. is it very essential for those who are extremely along with dahi this can be used.
Madam. Okay, over to Chitra madam again.
आपण असं म्हणतो बघा की आहार संस्कृती आपल्याकडे पिढ्यानपिढ्या चालू आहे, एका पिढीपासून दुसऱ्या पिढीकडे, अँड दिस इज गोइंग ऑन इन इंडिया फॉर थाउजंड्स ऑफ इयर्स. म्हणजे उदाहरणार्थ पहिल्यांदा जे राईस ग्रुएल मॅडमनी सांगितलं, पेज, त्याच्यानंतर त्याला खिमाट म्हणतात, कोकणामध्ये आमच्याकडे खिमाट म्हणतात. आणि लोकली अवेलेबल फूड, आपल्या कोकणातल्या माणसांची लाल माती आहे, तसा तो माणूस सुद्धा चिवट आणि रेझिलियंट बनतो. त्याप्रमाणे लोकली अवेलेबल फूड आपण पहिल्यांदा इंट्रोड्यूस करायला पाहिजे. त्यानंतर येतो नंबर नाचणी सत्वाचा. त्याच्यानंतर आपल्याकडे देतात सप्तधान्य भरडी, म्हणजे प्रत्येक डाळीचा एक एक चमचा घेऊन हाफ पार्ट त्याच्याबरोबर आपल्याला गहू किंवा तांदूळ घालून सप्तधान्य भरडी बनवता येते. तसंच ज्वारीची लापशी घाटावर देतात, म्हणजे देशावरचे जे लोक असतात ते त्यांचे जे आहे प्रिफरन्सेस ते थोडेसे वेगळे आहे. बिहारमध्ये सत्तू देतात आणि तो डाळीचा दलिया आहे, तो 8व्या-9व्या महिन्यात मुलाला खाऊ घालतात. हळूहळू त्याच्यामध्ये भाज्या मिक्स करतात, व्हेरियस टाईप ऑफ व्हेजिटेबल्स एका वेळेस एक, आणि 5व्या दिवशी नंतर दुसरी भाजी द्यायची, असं साधारणतः आहे. बाळाच्या आहारात या सगळ्या गोष्टी आपोआपच येतात. आणि मग जेव्हा पेशंट आपल्याला क्लिनिक मध्ये विचारतो मी ही सिरियल देऊ का ती, तर तुम्हाला हे उत्तर कॉन्फिडेंटली देता आलं पाहिजे की या पद्धतीने तुम्ही गेला तर तुमच्या घरातलं सगळं बाळाला मिळेल आणि रेडीमेड सिरियल्सची जरूर पडणार नाही. याच्याबद्दल आपल्या को मॉडरेटर डॉक्टर संजीवनी यांना काही सांगायचं आहे का? डॉक्टर संजीवनी
मॅडम, ऑलरेडी खूप छान सगळ्यांनी खूप बोलले, त्यात आता काहीच राहिलेले नाही आणि सगळे पॉइंट कव्हर झाले.
शॅल वी गो फॉर एनी अदर क्वेश्चन्स? फोरम इज ओपन फॉर डिस्कशन और अदरवाइज वी कॅन डू वोट ऑफ थँक्स.
एवढे खाण्याचे पदार्थ ऐकले की आता नक्कीच भूक लागली, डिनरची वेळ झालेली.
मोहिते सर इज अवेलेबल.
संजीवनी मॅडम,
मोहिते सर अवेलेबल.
मोहिते सर, your expert comment, Mohite.
I was listening to your talks. It was such a wonderful and informative talk. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
such a informative. हा basically प्रांत आहे, तो आमचा प्रांत इथे नाही. I stopped where you people started. so it was really एक suggestion आहे विकास.
Yes, sir.
एक आहे ना, बेबी फूड वर सॉर्ट
Yes,
ऑफ
sir.
रेडी रेकमेंडेशन अशी
Yeah.
एक ऑथेंटिक करून आपण एखादी पुस्तिका काढावी.
Definitely,
Okay.
sir. Sure.
आणि
Sure.
ती आपण ऍटलीस्ट लेट अस सर्क्युलेट इन रायगड ग्रुप इटसेल्फ, विच वी
Yeah.
कॅन सॉर्ट ऑफ पब्लिश इन मास स्केल्स, आणि ते आपल्या पेशंटला डायरेक्ट देता येईल. कित्येक वेळा पेशंट प्रश्न विचारतात, आपण काही गडबडीत 2-3
Right.
मिनिटात काहीतरी
Right.
सांगतो, पण एवढं
बरोबर.
एक्सटेन्सिव्ह इन्फॉर्मेशन देऊ शकत नाही, आणि त्यांना खरोखर याची गरज आहे. कळलं?
Yes, yes,
तर
yes,
एक
yes.
इट्स अ गुड आयडिया टू मेक अ स्मॉल बुकलेट. इट मे नॉट
Yes,
मे बी अबाउट 10 पेजेस बुकलेट. ते आपल्या प्रत्येक क्लिनिक मध्ये रायगड IAP चं म्हणून असावं, आणि आपण ते सॉर्ट ऑफ कॉपीराईट सारखं करून घ्यायचं, आणि बाकी ब्रँचेस माहिती असेल लेट देम टेक इट. पण कुठेतरी कोपऱ्यात रायगड IAP आलं पाहिजे त्यामध्ये, आणि लेट देम टेक इट. आपण एक छानसं पुस्तक विथ फोटोग्राफ्स काढा, आणि इट विल बी व्हेरी हँडी. कारण हे तुम्ही दिलं इन्फॉर्मेशन इतक्या एक्सटेन्सिव्हली आपण पेशंटला कन्सल्टिंग मध्ये सांगूच शकत नाही, बट विच इज
Yes,
सो
yes,
गुड.
yes.
Good idea.
Yes.
I'm not there.
I also want to add up in Utkarsh, Raigad IAP Bulletin Utkarsh, we have already started one blog on food. I think so everyone have seen that, and we
Yes,
have
yes.
also shared links, and that is clickable. If you are when you tap on that link, you will automatically go to the food preparation, and we are picking one like food items like jawar, like bajra, millets, and other food items which we can give to our children. We have one blog.
You're right, Neha. I'm talking about giving information to the patients, right? Where you give some ready recipe which are absolutely kind of full-fledged, that will be much more desirable. Right? Okay, so either that can be in the form of physical, in Marathi, in 1 or 2 languages, or as you said, give a QR code and they click it and they can access all these ready food kind of things. That will be very good. So some efforts will be required, but it's worth the time because it will be long lasting rather than एकच सेशन करून त्यातून खरं सगळं त्याचं you don't get the outputs. तर हे पेशंटसाठी खूप महत्वाचं आहे. तर तुम्ही एखादं बुकलेट जर छापलत ना, तर we can
Yes, sir.
contribute for that, but that will be very handy and very useful to all our patients.
आपण एक कमिटी फॉर्म घेऊन सजेशन घेऊ आणि सुनीती मॅडम आपल्याला गाईड करतील फायनल
तू असं गव्हर्नमेंटच्या मार्गाने जाऊ नकोस कमिट्यावर फॉर्म करायचं.
तसं नाही.
तिघे चौघे आहेत ना आणि डायटिशियन मॅडम पण आहेत, त्यांना घ्या बरोबर आणि पुढच्या एक टार्गेट बेस
जबाबदारी ती असं म्हणतोय मी.
ते कमिट्यावर फॉर्म केलं म्हणजे झालं.
नाही काळजी करू नका. ठीक आहे.
गव्हर्नमेंट पडले की नवीन कमिटी या जून एंड पर्यंत मला बुकलेट काढून दाखव.
एक कमिटी म्हणत म्हणजे ऍटलीस्ट एक 3-4 वीक्स होते अकाउंटेबल लवकर तयार होईल असं म्हणायचं, दुसरं काही नाही.
जून एंड टार्गेट बेस असायला पाहिजे. जून एंड पर्यंत तुमचं बुकलेट आलं पाहिजे.
ठीक आहे. नाही प्रिंट व्हायला ना छान, त्याचं प्रिंटिंग सगळं कॉस्टिंग काढून गुड आयडिया.
हेमंत गंगोलीला बरोबर घे म्हणजे काम अगदी व्यवस्थित चटकन होतात.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
जस्ट अ सजेशन. ऍब्सोल्युटली वर्क इफेक्टिव्ह माणूस आहे तो आणि त्याला घे बरोबर आणि काढा. तुम्ही तिघा चौघाने बसून काढा. मी म्हटल्याप्रमाणे हे माझं क्षेत्र नाहीये, म्हणजे तुम्ही लोक खूप छान कराल मला खात्री आहे. डू दॅट.
नक्की करू सर, आम्ही नक्की करू.
येस.
आणि सर फॉर एव्हरीवन इन्फॉर्मेशन, सुनीती खांडेकर इज माय MBBS batchmate. We are very close friends since 1997.
छान झालं एकदम.
Same dissection table.
Same dissection table.
Yeah, that's the introduction.
So now she is full-fledged working as dietitian, ka?
Yeah, full-fledged clinical nutritionist.
Where she practices?
Nagpur.
Oh.
विकास.
Okay.
विकास.
Yes, sir.
आपल्या मेटाबॉलिक डिसऑर्डरची CME डिक्लेअर करा आता त्याच्यावर.
We are having a very interesting CME on coming 18th June. Please, everybody is invited in Kharghar Hotel Pranam. So very interesting topics on approach to metabolic disorder, treatment of common metabolic disorders, approach to neonatal hypoglycemia, and the last one was, sir, neonatal screening. So these are
the 4 topics. First is the common approach to the suspected metabolic disorder in pediatric and neonate. Second is the treatment of the common metabolic disorders and new research. Third is the approach to the hypoglycemia in pediatric and neonates. And last is the newborn screening, current status in India and recommendation. And त्यातले 2 सेशन डॉक्टर मोहिते मॉडरेट करणार आहेत. बाकी 2 राजेंद्र आणि आबा मॉडरेट करणार आहेत. स्पीकर्स आर डिफरंट. So 2 metabolic expert and it is with the PathKind lab जे आहे in association that we are doing that. Physical CME आहे. It is 3 hours only on metabolic disorders. Please everybody येईल एक 2-3 दिवसात नोटिफिकेशन पाठवू आम्ही त्याचे तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना, पण लहान so that we can meet on 18th. 3 hours CME will be there. Thank you.
We can conclude, madam. No, can conclude.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Sanjeevani is requested to give vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Chitra ma'am. Thank you so much, respected Mahesh Mohite sir, for guiding us and giving new clues regarding the food chart of kids. I thank today's expert, Dr. Suniti Khandekar madam, for giving and guiding us so much informative information. I thank today's speaker, Dr. Jay Bhandarkar sir, Dr. Vikas More sir, for brief and crisp presentation. Thank you so much, sir. I thank Chitra ma'am for moderating the session very nicely and smoothly. I thank Dr. Ajay Kohli sir and Dr. Neha Singh madam, respected senior colleagues and dear our nutritionist friends. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. Thank you so much.
And thanks to Chitra madam. He said की तुमचा टॉक हा 20 मिनिटात संपला पाहिजे, म्हणून मी IPL स्टाईल मध्ये जरा फास्ट जरा बोललो. मला माहित नाही कोणाला किती पण मी बॅटिंग